In a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush green fields, there lived a young boy named David. David was known throughout the town for his unwavering obedience and kind heart. From a very young age, David's parents instilled in him the importance of listening to God's word and living by it. Every Sunday, David eagerly attended Sunday school, and during the week, he never missed a Bible study session. David's parents were devout Christians and took great care in teaching him the values and teachings of the Bible. They often read stories from the Bible to him, and David listened intently, his heart filled with wonder and admiration for the heroes of faith. He was particularly inspired by stories of obedience and faithfulness, such as the tale of Samuel, who listened to God's call even as a young boy. One Sunday in Sunday school, David's teacher shared the story of Daniel in the lion's den. David was captivated by Daniel's unwavering faith and obedience to God despite the threat of being thrown into the den of lions. He learned how Daniel prayed 3 times a day, never wavering in his devotion, and how God protected him because of his faithfulness. David decided that he too would strive to be as obedient and faithful as Daniel. As David grew, his commitment to God's word deepened. He excelled in his studies and was always ready to help those in need. His obedience and dedication did not go unnoticed. The pastor of his church saw great potential in David and began mentoring him, teaching him how to interpret and preach the Bible. David absorbed every lesson, his heart set on serving God with all his might. David's journey was not without challenges. There were times when he faced peer pressure and temptations, but he remembered the stories of Joseph and Daniel. He prayed for strength and guidance, and just like Joseph, who was falsely accused and imprisoned yet remained faithful to God, David held fast to his faith. He knew that God was with him, just as he had been with Joseph in the prison and Daniel in the lion's den. After completing his education, David felt a calling to become a preacher. He prayed fervently and sought counsel from his parents and pastor. With their blessing and encouragement, he enrolled in a theological seminary, where he continued to excel. His sermons were filled with passion and wisdom, drawing from the many lessons he had learned as a child. He preached about the importance of obedience, faith, and trust in God, often using the stories of Samuel, Joseph, and Daniel to illustrate his points. David's reputation as a preacher grew, and soon he was invited to speak at churches and conferences around the country. His words touched the hearts of many, inspiring them to live lives of faith and obedience. People admired his humility and dedication, and they flocked to hear his sermons. David always credited his success to God and the foundation his parents had laid for him in his childhood. One day, as David was preparing a sermon on the importance of listening to God's call, he remembered the story of Samuel once more. He reflected on how Samuel had said, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3 verse 10. David realized that his own life was a testament to the power of listening to and obeying God's word. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the guidance he had received from his parents, his pastor, and above all, from God. David's legacy as a preacher and a man of faith continued to grow. He wrote books, founded a ministry, and helped countless people find their way to God. He often told his own story, emphasizing how obedience and faith had paved the way for his success. He reminded everyone that just as God had a plan for Samuel, Joseph, and Daniel, he had a plan for each of them as well. Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." His obedience and faithfulness led him to a life of purpose and fulfillment, and his story inspired many to walk the path of righteousness.